Okay, good evening everybody and welcome to another Team 3R group ride. Let's have a look. 4 riders online and 20 bots. And I can't tell who the 4 are just yet because they're not showing in my list. So I don't really know why these Thursday group rides at the moment are being so poorly attended. I'm certainly trying to promote them well enough. That looks like Rob that's just joined. But I'm at a bit of a loss to know what's causing the lack of people joining us. And it's pretty disappointing. A lot of effort goes into organising these rides. And it would be nice if we did get a little bit more support. We had a good ride on Tuesday. We had a nice group of about 12, 13 of us. So let's see what happens tonight. Hopefully we might get a few more before the start and then maybe the odd late joiner. I'm still not 100%, still full of cold, but at least riding on Tuesday helped clear my airways a little bit. And while I'm still chesty, I think actually getting back to cycling is helping a little. So I'm looking forward to tonight's ride, but it won't be anything special in terms of pace. Find a nice comfortable gear, and I've no doubt Rob Stone will probably want to pull me around again, like he always does. But let's see who else has joined us. Oh, Paul, welcome, Paul. Yes, nice to see you again. Hope you enjoyed the ride on Tuesday. You looked like you were doing so. So this is a nice course, Paul. If you've not ridden it before, I don't know. I know you said you were new to the group rides, but this is one of the better courses in my opinion. The graphics are quite nice, and the actual course profile is just enough difficulty to make it challenging, and because a lot of it's on gravel, you're not going as fast as you are on the tarmac. So short of an hour tonight, I think. We're doing 1 lap. I think later in the month we're possibly doing 2 laps of this course, but that'll be for another day. Okay, so let's get going and see what happens. See who we get around me. Yeah, that's Rob Stone, taking up his usual position. And the other Team 3R jersey that you can see just behind me at the moment, but that's Paul Douglas. So thanks for wearing team kits, Paul. Rob wears Team Lou, the red kit. Now I always use this first bit, this first steep hill, just to get my legs warmed up. So I usually push the pace a little bit on this section, and then it'll settle down a bit. You can hear I'm heavy breathing, because like I say, I'm still a little bit congested and chested. But looking forward to getting to the top of this first climb. And the three of us are together, so it's good to see. Okay, and that's where it eases off now. Paul to join us, and there we go. And some of the bots doing an average higher wattage are now coming past us. We got up the climb. This is the false flat bit. You get up the climb and you think, oh great, I'm on top of it. But then you've got a slope of between 1 to 1.5% for the next kilometre and a bit. So you don't actually reach the flat section for a little while. Actually, yeah, we're just about there now. So we roll along this flat section now for a little while before we join the gravel. Oh good, we've got another real life rider joining us. Nice to see. So we have got a couple of late joiners now, which is good. Thanks for joining, folks, and welcome. Hope you managed to stay with us. Tonight's pace will probably average out at about 2.2 watt kilogram, give or take. I know we pushed hard from the start. We always do that, up that first bit of a climb. But then we tend to settle down to around the 2 watt kilo mark. We're just slightly over that at the moment. Although I'm drafting, so I'm saving a bit. I'm still not really up to pushing hard off the front at the moment. So I welcome Rob leading us out like he's doing. And this is a true recovery ride for Rob. Yeah, Rob the locomotive, yeah. And there's a few more riders joining us. Davidson, welcome. Moira. Now I'm not going to chase if riders go off in front of us. Just going to stay at around this pace. Might push it a little bit towards the end of the ride, but that's doubtful as well. And here's the gravel. And because the first section's downhill, you don't really notice a drop in speed. But once it levels out, you will. What they've done is they've programmed it in dynamically so that when you reach the gravel, the drag coefficient kicks in and you're not going as fast as you would be on the tarmac for the same effort. It's more realistic, more real life. You can hear me clunking the bike, and that's because I'm unfit. And when I'm unfit, I'm not spinning the pedals around, I'm clunking around. Normally when I get out of the saddle and turn the pedals around, I'm very smooth. But I'm struggling to hold my weight off the saddle and to turn the pedals. So that's where you're hearing the clunking noise. Yeah, it feels like flat tyres when you compare it to the tarmac pole. It makes a huge difference. We've had riders in the forum saying, what's going on? Why do I need to produce so much power extra when on the gravel? Well, this is why. Because RGT have added that touch of realism. Just like you would have to in real life. These climbs are real testers. Oh, hard work. Love the sunlight through the trees. Really nice rendering. This graphics. Now the bots can offer a really good clue to what your average watt kilos for the ride at the current moment in time is. Because you've just seen Burley, who's averaging 2.6 average, and he'll continue that for the whole of the ride. Well, he's just gone past us. So we're not yet averaging 2.6. We were up the climb, obviously, we were doing more, which is why we ended up in front of him. But the reason now why he has gone past and away into the distance, 49 meters to the distance, is because he runs at a constant 2.6, whereas we fluctuate. We're doing 2.3, 2.4 at the moment, but we do drop down to 2.2, 2.3. So we're not yet at the 2.6 average, and I don't think we will be for this ride. Like I say, I'd expect it to be more in the 2.3 range average by the time we've done. And you'll get a good idea about that because Pearline is 600 meters behind us, averaging 2.3. And you can see slowly closing on us. So again, that's a visual indication to our average watt kilo. And it's one of the reasons, apart from wanting to let riders ride at whatever pace they like, but it's one of the reasons why I employ about 20 bots on these rides. So they're clued up amongst us, and I count myself in that number. Not being big-headed, but yeah, I actually use that as an indication of pace on the road or on the gravel. Helps me calculate. Now if there was more climbing on this course, there's enough, but if there was more climbing, you would see us leaving the bots going at 2.3 behind. But because a lot of it's flat or slightly uphill, slightly downhill, you can see that pair line, the distance is staying about stable at the moment, 590 meters. But that could well come down if we ease up a bit. And we're coming to the first time segment shortly. Which I have to say, I pay no mind to on this ride. It's not important. If I was pushing the pace up with Rob leading me out, then yeah, I'd take notice of it. And I've done that in the past, where Rob's pulled me around at a much faster pace. But today, it's all about just a steady ride. Work hard on the hills. So we're pushing up to 3 watt-kilo on the hills, but only for short periods. And then we're recovering as we go over the crests. And that's good ride tactics, because you wouldn't want to slow to 2.3, 2.2 on the climbs. You'd feel like you weren't moving. Well, I would. I can't ride 2.2 on a hill. It's just too slow for me. And that's because typically on these short, steep climbs, I'm out of the saddle and turning the gear round. And if I was trying to keep my pace slow, I wouldn't be able to do that. If I wanted to stay, shall we say, at 2.0, 2.2 on the climbs, I would have to stay in the saddle. And you can see now, as the slope is starting to bite, our pace is rising. It'll go up to about 3. Rob's doing 3 in front of me. Well, not at the moment. He's cruising. But it will be when we reach the climb. Here we go. We're just approaching it now, so once it kicks up again, you see his pace rising. And as I say, I get out of the saddle and just nicely spin the legs round. But as I explained earlier, you can possibly hear the clanking, and that's purely down to me trying to hold my weight up and turn the pedals at the same time, and I'm not strong enough. You know, you might not think it matters, but 2 weeks off the bike is a long time if you're not riding at all. And especially 2 weeks off the bike with a really heavy cold. Well, some would have called it flu. I'm pushing a little bit too hard at the moment, up to 4 kilo, so slow it down a bit. Rob often does let me lead out on the climbs a little bit of the way. And there's the phlegm that I'm clearing. So is Paul with us, or have we? Yeah, he's with us. Good. Because if we start to drop people, then obviously we'll ease up. I want Koenigsberg to rejoin us. So there he is. Oh, is that a bot? Oh, that's a bot. So I'm just going to ease up slightly. Ease up a little bit, Paul. Just let him come back to us. He's 14 metres behind. He'll rejoin us now. Yeah, it is hard work. It can be hard work to ease off as well. There he is, he's back now. Once you go over the top. And sometimes I do it too much. I ease off a little bit too much and then I actually lose the riders in front of me. Poor old Rob has to come and collect me. But tonight feels good. Like it did on Tuesday, I think this is actually helping. It's clearing some of the phlegm from my chest. Opening up my airways. Albeit I'm panting, but it's helping. I'm convinced of that. I've got a really long ride on Saturday. For those that don't know and that are listening, Saturday we're doing the Eurobic Memorial, which is the Slovakian ultra-distance rider, 5-time Ram winner, an absolute legend of the sport, who died in 2010 when he was hit by a car. And this is what I mean about getting distance. You can see, because I eased back, I got distance. And there's my trusty pacemaker to get me back. I love these group rides, and as I say, it's a shame they're not better attended on a Thursdays, because we always have a good ride. And we tailor the pace to the majority of the group. So like if there were 3 or 4 riders behind, struggling, we'd ease up and we'd go at their pace. There's 2 riders gone off the front, but I don't really feel up to being able to play around with them. So this pace is nice for tonight. And you can see it's keeping all 4 of us together, which is the aim of the ride. You know, this is the what you call the leader group, all right, only 4 riders, but that's because we've we've only got 9 riders and the bots on the course. Now obviously we've got a couple of riders behind and we've got riders in front. So Saturday's ride, starting at 2 o'clock Central European time, 2 p.m. It's 104 kilometres. So it's what we call a drop-in, drop-out ride. Come and join for as long as you want. I mean, I'll be doing the full distance at around about the 2.5 watt kilo pace. But it's a hard course. There's some serious climbing in it. Come on, stop talking and put your pace up a bit. Yeah, there's some serious climbing. I mean, 104 kilometres is not to be sniffed at. Big distance. So I'm aiming for a pace of between 2 and 2.5 throughout the whole ride. On the climb, possibly a bit higher just to keep the average up. And you see, as a lightweight rider, this is where typically I get dropped on the descent. I'm only 63 kilo when soaking wet through, so I really find it difficult to keep up with the heavier riders on the downhills. And you can see that because we're on a steeper downhill, the distance in me. Because they'll be going a good deal faster than I am, although I am closing now. So they must have reached the bottom of the hill. And I'm closing up on them because I'm still on the downhill. Which is something you should take into account when chasing. Never think because you see 50 meters distance that you can't pull it back if there's a downhill. Because they've got to hit the bottom and you're going to still be on the downhill section. And you saw a perfect example of that just now, where I was able to pull back the distance because I kept the pace going as they approached the bottom. And now it's just a case of recovering, staying in the draft. I do love this course for variety. Got some really nice flowing bits on it. And as I say, the climbs are just enough to test you. Make a good race course, I think. Race circuit. For me, because of the short, steep climbs. I mean, obviously I'll lose time on the downhills, but the idea would be to try and get a gap on the steep reds, and then by the time the group sort of caught me, hopefully we'd be approaching the next, or at least we'd be on the flat so that I could stay with them. But I'm well off that pace at the moment. So Saturday's ride, as I say, 104 kilometres, starts at 1300 GMT, 1400 or 2 p.m. Central European time. We're going to have Discord going, so we're going to be able to live chat, but we're also going to link in with Swift, because my good friend Chris Hoppo Hopkinson is leading the same ride over on Swift, 100 kilometres. So we should be able to link up with those folks. One thing of note though, I don't know what course Chris has chosen, but I suspect because of the distance involved, he won't have chosen a hilly course, or a terribly hilly course. So my guess is their pace is going to be a lot faster than ours. I mean, it is on Swift anyway. Swift give you extra kilometres to make you believe you're better than what you actually are. And I say that, I'm not knocking them, that's just a fact. I can ride 800 kilometres in 24 hours over on Swift. There's no way on this earth I get close to that on RGT, because RGT is more realistic to real world pace, and I can't ride at that pace for 24 hours, not now. Back in 2016 maybe, when I broke the indoor distance record over on Swift. For those that don't know, I did 1600 kilometres in 52 hours. I broke the record, and then a short time later my good friend Chris Hopkinson took it from me. And it's a good job he's a friend, otherwise he'd have got called a unsavoury name. But yeah, he took it from me, and then it was taken from him by I can't think of her name, a lady, German. Oh, I'm so sorry, I just cannot remember her name. It'll come to me. Anyway, and then Chris, obviously miffed at having the record stolen from him so quickly after, you know, all three of us, me, Chris and the lady, broke the record in about a space of 5 weeks, 3 times. So Chris was a bit miffed about that, and went out to set a record that is still standing. But then again, he is a bit special when it comes to ultra endurance. But back in 2016, I don't know, only held the Swift distance record, I held the 12-hour record, the 24-hour record. So I was no mean rider back then. And then it all changed in 2018, late 2018, when I had a terrible accident, broke my hip, but more worryingly, damaged my knee. So I didn't have full movement in the knee. And to this day, the hip still causes me severe pain. And to be honest, is the limiting factor in my riding. It's not about how hard I can go, how much I can work. It's about how much pain I can endure. But that's all in the past. I'm trying to return to some semblance of fitness, taking part in races. Currently the Flemish for beginners races, because they're capped at 3.2 watt kilo, and I'm getting close to the ceiling, so maybe see out the season in that category, and then if I can just improve, get over the 3.2, I think I'm 3.09 at the moment, get over the 3.2, then join the next group. But it's all racecraft, it's all learning racecraft. And RGT is brilliant for racecraft because it's quite realistic. The drafting is pretty good. I've just edited the highlights of the March Monument Series first race, and I'll be publishing that this week. And I'd recommend you check it out. Obviously I'll post links. But the team tactics by Team OTR were absolutely outstanding to take the win. The strongest rider in the race took the best combative rider prize, but he didn't actually win because the OTR boys just worked him over. And he came in second. And without their team tactics, he would easily have won the race. But they saw to it that the team tactics paid off. And one of their riders won the race. Big shout out to James Ogilvy, who organised the whole March Monument Series, but also on that particular race was the main instigator of braking, running off the front, going up the road, and thereby determining the squad tactics. And he certainly taught me, you know, what's possible on RGT. Obviously I'm very, very familiar with real life racing, both from an organiser point of view and from a competitor point of view. But RGT is a different kettle of fish. Okay, that's the last big climb, one more short one, just before the finish. So it's downhill now for a little while. Try not to lose concentration, stay with the group. And nice to see all four of us have stayed together despite me rattling on. Hope you're enjoying my commentary. What I try to do during these rides is just discuss basic tactics and try and give my audience, you know, a little bit of feedback if they're watching for the first time or if they haven't yet raced on RGT or they haven't done group rides, hopefully they get a flavour. Because this is a typical group ride. Alright, it's a little bit pacey at times when we're on the climbs. But you'll always get that with stronger riders. You'll always get stronger riders pushing a little bit harder on the climbs, stretching the legs. I mean, I've been leading group rides over on Swift since 2015. Not so long here on RGT, but when you go back to Swift and you realise that I was leading group rides with 500 plus riders, that's 500 riders. I mean, that's insane. Huge groups. But more importantly, there's only two leaders. There's a yellow beacon, he's the main leader, which was me. And then you've got a red beacon, he's the sweeper at the back. And he usually works with a team of however many riders he can get. And what we generally do is we ask the riders, the really strong riders, to help out sweeping at the back, to bring riders back into the group that are dropped. And that's the main premise of the group rides and why they are so successful and why we get 500. Because everybody knows that the leader, in this case me, will stick to the advertised pace, which in this case it's called the True 2. That's the name of the ride, the True 2 ride. And I stick, and almost always, and I mean almost always, I've led thousands of rides, and I think the number that have gone under or over 2 watt kilos is under 10. I always finish at 2.0 watt kilo. And because riders know that, they know my weight because I'm always telling them, last time, always telling them, and they can basically calculate what they need to do to stay with me. And we usually get huge leader groups. So why did I leave Swift? Well, Team 3R were looking for somebody to try and get that kind of presence over on RGT. And I just happened to be the volunteer. So here I am, leading rides on RGT. I mean, we've had as many as 40. That's the biggest number I've had. 40 real riders, not including the bots. So I can get good numbers. I just don't know what's happening at the moment, why I'm not. Is RGT getting too busy with other things, or? Okay, here we go, into the finish. There we go. Fantastic ride, folks. Well done, everybody. Superb. All 4 of us home in seconds of each other. That's what I want to see. And we're getting claps from the audience. Thank you guys for turning up and making it a good ride. Thank you to those that went on ahead, Mr. Beck and Mr. Davidson and any others. And to those still behind, I hope you're enjoying the ride. I've certainly enjoyed it, and my next ride is on Saturday. If you can drop into it, I'd be very grateful. I know 100 kilometres is a long way, but if you could just drop in for a few kilometres and pull us along, that would be really appreciated. And on that note, folks, the only other thing to remind you to do is please subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow and it makes this worthwhile. Stay safe and take care, everybody. We'll see you later. Oh.